There it is. I hope that helps.
I love how professional it is.
Oh, this was already set up like this morning. The North Shore Business Association. As long as they can hear us, and I think they can. Yep, they can.
Yeah, that's right.
What's that? It's still been going places, talking to people, taking advantage of the time to really get things driven home that we've been trying to work on the past 4 years that haven't got finished. So just doing that, basically, rather than having to campaign, taking advantage of that. So.
Well, all right. Do we have any announcements that are not agenda announcements? Anybody have anything to say about anything before we get started?
I do, Chairman. There was an issue in Nice with this is an old gas station that has been
On Highway 20.
On Highway 20, owned by the former Aurora owner. And a follow-up to that is Deb Clark. I don't know if anybody knows Deb Clark. She owns the Xbox collector. I guess she worked on that with code enforcement. Supposed to have that all. I'm not supposed to have it abated. It's like June said.
Good.
So that's a good thing. So I hope that you'll be able to handle that appropriately. So. No, this is Nice. It's right next to Dollar General. I know it used to be an old gas station. It's all piles of stuff. Yeah.
They put up a chain link fence. All right. Okay. Any more?
You could do information.
Well, we can have a meeting. We just can't vote on it.
What is it? You don't have any action items anyhow on your agenda. There doesn't seem to be an action item.
They're online. Yeah.
Hey, welcome everybody. Come in, sit down, make yourselves comfortable. So any announcements? Ladies and gentlemen, no announcements? All right, announcements are done. Now we're gonna talk about Upper Lake street lights, right? And we have Scott Carter here from Special Districts. He's going to be able to use this microphone right here. And
Good evening. As Tim mentioned, I'm Scott Carter. I'm the Special District Administrator. We oversee the Upper Lakes street lighting district, so that's my involvement with the lighting saga on Main Street, the Decorative lights goes back quite a ways. The lights have been in for about 20 years, and there's been some confusion in the past whether or not those were PG owned or district owned. They've been identified by spreadsheets by PG, so in their system had identified. Oh, that one's louder and better. Good. They've been identified in PG&E's system and associated with an account and a rate structure that's called the LS1 rate structure. So that's their street light rate structure for lights that are PG&E owned and maintained. So I've been administrator going on 2 years this September. Anytime we received a call or a complaint about lights out, because they are billed as PG&E owned and maintained, we've initiated a service request with PG&E to come out and fix the lights. It got to the point to where nothing was happening.
And it was frustrating for you guys, understandably, and frustrating for us because we didn't seem to get any movement from PG&E. So I contacted our government liaison with PG&E January, February, and we finally got to the bottom of it this spring. It turns out that they are district owned and maintained. There's a meter pedestal down at the end, down by the fire station there. And there's about 20 circuits in there. There's circuits for outlets along the street. There's circuits for 2 blocks of street lights. There's a circuit for the lighting on the arch for the letters, as well as the lights there, circuit for the irrigation timer, one for the clock. So it's, you know, quite a complicated electrical system, and they're not too difficult, but a lot going on in there. So PG&E had their lock on that box until, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so, and we finally got that cleared up and resolved and determined that it's ours. So we've got our lock on there now. My staff has been out and inspected that, and there are melted wires and shorted out contactors in there. So we're in the process of getting that resolved. But it's not as quick and simple as replacing some bulbs, unfortunately. So there's a section in the south block, I think, of lights where the lights aren't on. And if it's dark enough before I leave tonight, I'll get a count and identify which ones are positively out, which ones are on. But we're troubleshooting it. We have a clear path forward now. We understand that they're ours to maintain. There's no more confusion between PG&E and us. We've got electricians on staff, so that's not a problem. We maintain the water treatment plants, sewer lift stations, wells, water systems like that. So we have certified electricians that are working on it. So that's our current status, and that's our current path forward. So, any questions?
I want to say thank you so much to get.
Yeah, cooler Upper Lake. I want to say thank you so much for getting.
Oh. That one's not working.
Anyway, I want to say thank you. Travel around the lake, and when they start out, they end up in our business section and break windows and steal the lights. So the sooner the lights are working, the better our businesses have.
Yes? Everybody's happy? Thomas?
1, 2. Do you have you said you have a great, it's fantastic, you have a pathway forward. Is there an ETA or a goal set on this, of like a hard date when you might be able to get this done, or is it just based on supply chain issues and parts and?
Well, at this point, we're at the diagnosis stage. So we've got to figure out what's causing that particular circuit to overload. So it's the second circuit of lights, and it's melting and frying one of the wires that's coming up to the contactors. So we've got to troubleshoot and find out why that's causing that to overload. The lights themselves shouldn't be that high of a draw that it's causing that. So there might be a shorter ground in that particular circuit. So once we diagnose and figure out what's going on, then it'll be pretty easy to replace the contactor. It's a cheap part, and get things back up and going.
So, is there a way for us to be in the loop?
How would you like that? Can I provide you information? Can I keep Eddie updated, or? Okay.
So, you have my.
I don't believe so, but I've got a card. You've got mine. Yeah. Yeah. And if anyone has questions, feel free to call me at any time. Our main office number is listed. It's 263-0119. Again, Scott Harder, Special Districts. Oh, yeah.
Tim, what we can do too is when CC me and anything with him, and then that way we can work on getting it on the Facebook account, because I see a lot of people here are responsive to that account, the Facebook account. That way, the work. And so if we have an update, we can just put it right on there so you know, rather than wait until the next meeting, you know, on our end. So
Okay.
if we know.
That would be simply sending that email to.
Well, you can get the email to us, then we'll post what we need to. Yeah. That'll work.
Julie,
Julie, for,
sorry.
you guys find, services?
We have CSAs, community service areas, but not all of them. It depends on which one.
Okay, so what if it was a new one?
Depends. If it's a new one formed for roads, then it would be DPW. They manage the CSAs specific to roads.
CSA, where it includes everything.
We have one of those, Spring Valley, and we hate it. Well, no, we don't hate Spring Valley. We hate the fact that it's all combined. And it's challenging because the primary focus of our department is water and sewer. We have 10 lighting districts we manage. Those are relatively easy, but we focus primarily on water and sewer. We've got 5 water treatment plants, 5 water areas, and 5 sewer areas. Spring Valley, we're also responsible for the roads, the bridges, and the campground. But we don't have staff that's trained in road maintenance, and we don't have equipment for road maintenance. So it makes it kind of challenging. Yeah.
I just want this. It's not super.
Yeah, if it's a dependent special district, then it would fall under the guise of our department, yes.
I just want to make a comment about code enforcement that was here meeting. I spoke to Dave Beebe this evening, he's not here, but he wanted me to relate that he did follow up this way. So Dave is very excited. They're working out, the process that you.
For that grow, that illegal grow in E. coli. Yeah, I seen it with the CC on it. So if you don't remember from last time, Dave was having an issue because some of the information hadn't got passed to Marcus. So we got it on the same page and they're working together now to try to address whatever can happen in the future. So,
I think it's encouraged.
good.
Yeah, and since we're on code enforcement, they also removed the old truck that's been there for over 4 years on the levee. Yeah, maybe.
In the street.
Well, they did that one too. But there was one on the flood plain that's been there forever and it's gone. So, go Marcus.
All right. So, any more special districts? Going? Gone. So now it's animal control, and we have.
My name is Jonathan Armis. I'm the Director of Animal Control.
Thank you, Jonathan, for coming down here tonight. I invited Jonathan, or we all, the town hall invited him to give us an update on the North Shore. Also, I'm a little biased because I had some issues that I've dealt with personally in Nice, and I think we still haven't, perhaps, ongoing loose animal issue in the North Shore. Please ask him about those issues if you do in your area. In one area, I want you to talk about what's going on in the North Shore, and also about the ordinance that I was talking about with you, and explain how that works so there's more clarity for everyone to understand when a dog or a loose animal is not, it's when it's violating the ordinance. If you can expand about that for me, thanks, or for us.
Yeah, so if we're talking about loose dogs, when the best thing to do is call the immediate that you see them to our office. We'll dispatch an officer out. They'll get there as soon as they can. Sometimes they're working on other priority calls, or they might be, so depending on where you live, if you live in Upper Lake, an officer might be covering your area all the way to Spring Valley. So they have a lot of ground to cover. If an officer sees a violation, they will attempt to impound the animal, locate the owner, issue citations. If we impound it, they have to pay fees to redeem. If we're not able to locate the animal, it's unable to locate, we can still provide some type of enforcement, but that'll come down to whether or not you as the witness is willing to sign on stating what you witnessed, write a witness statement out to us, and we can issue a citation on your behalf. When you do that, though, you have to be willing to go to court and testify to what you saw. So and we'd be happy to do that for you. We very rarely ever tell someone when they put in a witness statement that no, we're not going to issue a citation. It's very, very uncommon for that to happen. So that is always available for you. If you're having an issue like Thomas was, I mean, we did try and do different things to find those violations. In Thomas's case, I had an officer start their morning in that area every day and spend an hour, well, not every day, but about 3 times a week in that area, sitting there, patrolling the areas, doing all sorts of other things to try and find those violations, which we just unfortunately weren't able to do. I just did, before I came here, I pulled some logs up. There's approximately 157 calls since January 1st in Lucerne, Nice, and Upper Lake areas. And for Upper Lake, we had 16 loose dog calls, and that includes anything from just loose, aggressive, or leash lock, which means the owner's there. 32 in Nice and 33 in Lucerne. So that's an 81 total. So we're about half, 50% of the calls we get is loose dogs. We respond to every call. I could get the breakdown for what we did, but again, if we're not able to locate, I can't do any enforcement. So I don't know if that was answering your question or not. If you had anything.
I'm Thomas Aceves, by the way. I just want to announce on town hall member. Describe the nuisance law, because I was confused at first until one of your officers described it, and then that's when I reached out to you personally, and you clarified that for me, because I don't know if I didn't know this, but animals, my take on that was the law is that if the animal is loose on the property, I'm talking about dogs mainly, I mean, if they're loose on the property, that's not a violation. It's only when they come off the property.
Right. So if a dog is on its own property without a fence up and it stays on that.
So, if the dog is loose on the property, not contained within the fence, and it doesn't leave that property line, it's still on the property. So I can't issue citations or anything like that. And then as far as like a nuisance, we do have ordinances for nuisance abatements, and that's, if we have 3 verifiable instances of the dog being loose, I can deem it a nuisance, at which point there could be a whole bunch of things imposed against the animal owner, and the animal has to do with the kennel. And that, the key to those types of calls, I need a lot of community support, because that animal owner is it's going to go in front of the board of supervisors, and I need the community to back me up and say, no, this is a problem. We are having problems with this dog being out and being willing to speak out towards them. Without that, I wouldn't, it's hard to do something like that, because I am severely in an animal.
What's your sweet spot?
As far
I mean,
as
like, how many people do you need to leave complaints?
realistically, I want anyone that's having an issue with this animal to come forward. The more people that come forward and tell me they're having an issue with that. If I have one person behind me and I've only had 3 calls, I might not look at doing this. If I have 10 people behind me complaining, I'm probably going to be more apt to do that.
And you're saying those 10 people would have to testify?
It would certainly help.
I have a question. As we all know, the feral cat population is running rampant throughout Lake County. And are you going to create that opportunity for, if they're trapped, bring them in, have them neutered or spayed and put them back?
So I don't know if everyone's aware, our veterinarian that worked for us passed away suddenly in March. So we are working on it. Right now, tentatively, we're working on doing a day sometime 30 cats, and I have 2 pets coming in, 30 cats in one day, which is a lot. We used to just do like 7 cats a day.
So we're starting there. I have recently began an agreement with a third-party company that's based in LA who provide relief services. And I'm meeting up with Dr. Sally, who's currently filling in for some surgery days, to try and coordinate something so that I can do cats once a week or maybe twice a month, somewhere along those lines.
What will that cost?
$50 like we've been charging.
So do you have any timeline for that reinstatement?
Probably either sometime middle of June, but I would probably say early July.
I have a question regarding wild boar. I live on Bridge over stuff. I scooter now, but they haven't done anything with that. What is the policy regarding those?
Contact Fish and Wildlife, and they probably have a few options for you. We deal with domestic animals, not wild boar, and those like domestic pigs, certainly, similar to like a loose dog. Go out there, contact an owner, impound if necessary. Yeah, yeah. So Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, so what's the outcome here? Yeah, to protect your habitat.
Good questions for Fish and Wildlife, because I don't know specifically how. I can tell you that if there's a dog attacking your property, now if you're in a residential area, maybe sheriff department has a different opinion on discharge of firearm, but you can protect your property or your livestock, your other animals.
Julie, I'm not answering the question, but I do have some knowledge. In Anderson Valley and Mendocino, there's a huge wildfire issue, and they're able to trap and kill, but you have to contact the county trapper. Who's the county trapper in Lake County?
It might be in their ag department.
Contact the county trapper. My question is about neglect.
Okay.
So, hallelujah, they just moved out, hallelujah. But my neighbor has been starving dogs and ducks for years. And I called her office a couple times. I did this last time and I've been keeping it for 2 months. What I found so unusual is the very, I don't know what to call it. I mean, can you define what neglect is for Lake County? Because it's very loose here in Lake County compared to other areas.
Can you define how it's
Well, if you're not feeding your dog, it's done, and you get water or food. As long as it doesn't have, I guess, wind blowing and it has shelter and there's bowls there, then it's not neglect.
So we're looking for food, water, shelter. Water should be available at all times. Shelter should be available at all times. But food doesn't necessarily need to be available. You're not best practice like a vet would say if you want to feed the dog once a day and you want to feed 3 cups or something. So when we do a welfare check, there's a couple things that make it difficult, that roadblocks. Maybe we go to the property and it's in the backyard and I can't see it in the backyard, and they don't give us access. There's very little I can do unless the officer sees something that we might be able to get a search warrant, something along those lines. And you might be able to see it by looking through like a slit in the fence. We're not able to do that legally.
Right.
So, and depending on those things, if the dog, if it's furry and you can't tell that it's really skinny, or if you're feeding the dog and we get there and see food,
very hard to progress. Now, if we see, like we just had a dog get attacked by another dog on its own property, so we saw it on the same property. And the officer responded and saw about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch gash. So we were able to go onto the property, look at it, and then we were working to impound the dog. So it just really depends on, you know, can we see the issues? Can we see it from a distance if it is that far? And those things can.
Yeah, so just so you know, I mean, they'll notify them that I'm under report because they have goals out, goals that they're for.
We typically don't. If we get a call and officers get dispatched, they go out there, they're gonna knock on the door, maybe they don't answer, and then we're putting violation. Like, we use it for everything from written warnings to just contact. And, you know, we're putting on there, hey, we need to do a WRTH, contact the office. And then we will do that multiple times.
Well, thank you. I get it. It's hallelujah that you picked out, but I don't know where this pouring the parts and stuff. But they came and got it. You did put a violation.
Which street was that?
Main Street.
Main Street, not downtown town.
Main Street, right there. Anyway, it's all, I just want to, but where there's not along. This was clearly neglect.
The other thing about it is, sometimes people call us and say, you know, no one's been there taking care of it. And, you know, we tend to put a notice up, 24 hours of contact, maybe we don't get contact. We'll do it again the next day. By the third day, we're starting to look at trying to pull the animal, or we're calling sheriff. We do those things. But what might happen is people like that person calls us and they might not live there anymore, but if at least they're checking on it, that's okay. So there are those types of things.
Anyway, thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Okay. So any more questions for animal control?
Hi, this is Thomas again. Just one more comment. You know how much we talked about that nuisance law. Is that similar in other counties? Do you know, Jonathan, the same law?
I'm not too sure. A lot of those, like vicious abatements and nuisance abatements, carry pretty broadly, and not positive.
And how would we go about EJ changing or that law to not allow animals to be completely, like dogs, not to be fenced in or leashed on their property? Would that be something you could bring up at the?
Well, it could. Of course, it would have to be something that everyone would be able to board level, so I can recommend it at a specific point, but it may not go through.
I understand. It's just my concern is, you know, if you're going around walking your dog and the dog comes off the property and starts attacking your dog, you know, that's the concern. So, right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Pull up the county.
Website?
If you'd like, This is just stay in your ordinance right here. So let me pull that and let you look at it, send it to you so you can review it, and we'll look at what you want to change and see what we go from there. Is there something that you're working on to enhance that? Any of your ordinances that you need us to look at as well?
There's a few things that I want to look at and change. I mean, as far as what it sounds like Thomas was suggesting, talking about pretty much creating a law that there are fencing laws, but as far as like an at-large, it's as long as it's off the property. There's also fencing laws both on the state and county level where you're supposed to have fencing to prevent the pest. But in the animal safe on its own property, very hard to say, well, they're not doing it. That's that could be quite a problem. But there are fencing laws. with state.
I have one question. Yeah. On the other hand, what you're saying there, I just have to say, I got a lot of dogs on my street. And you'll have somebody come up the street, the person that's walking his dog on the street will come up to my fence and agonize and ease my dog. That's something that you should take into consideration, odds and stuff. There's a two-way street there. My dog's under the fence, 100 by 60 foot line. Doesn't ever jump the fence, but then on the street with the dogs. Easy dogs. That's a 50-foot lead. Runs right under the fence.
I think, I mean, I understand there's two
So
ways.
what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but there's a two-way street there. That our dogs, the dogs in the neighborhood are doing what they're supposed to do, and they want to street, let the dog. Fence. Ease my dog.
I don't know if that would be that, but it's fortunate. But I know when I'm riding my bike or walking my dog, I can't walk it down the street because the pit bull or aggressive animal is going to come out and maybe attack my dog because they don't want it fenced in.
That's different story.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, and I've seen it over and over here. I went riding this morning and I had a little dog come out, which could tumble. I'm just saying that in Sonoma County, I was in Santa Rosa a week and a half ago. I rode a long ride there, no loose dog. So I just think it's an attitude and a culture. I don't know what it is exactly here, but for my opinion, it needs to be forced. These people need to be forced to put their dogs behind fences and leash. Not be able to.
My dog's in his yard.
No, you're fenced, but is it fenced in?
I'm not gonna put him on a leash.
No, I'm at a fenced in, at least, right? You don't have, I'm talking about no fence. And the person that was in my area on this area, thanks Jonathan for the coverage, I did see them out there. At this point, the person relocated, but this person was, the dogs would go to the street, and then we go back in. And there was a pit bull fight on Saturday, and your department's not available Saturday and Sunday.
No, they are.
Well, they're only available as an emergency, which I called. And since the pit bull fight wasn't happening in front of me at that point in time, there was no ability to come out. So this is another loose dog situation on the street. Of all places, we're set. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
today. So this is what I'm doing. So it's all, so it's just, trying to figure out, maybe pushing for an ordinance that forces people to
Look at it.
yeah, thank you so much.
I thought the same thing before my time. They were working on like the ordinance forcing garbage pickup. But then it's almost, I'm not saying it won't, I'm saying we could propose it and work with animal control on it and see where it goes. But then there's some folks on the other end, that they're not gonna force it.
I understand that.
It's the same with garbage. I thought we were getting somewhere with that, but then it is, I'm not paying for that.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say on a positive note, Lake County has come together when a dog is missing, cat is missing, and publicized. People really, kind of put their hearts and souls into locating that animal. A great success.
It does help, yeah. I'll send you the ordinance and just go through it with the ones you want to change. And when he comes with it, I'll make sure. That's basically the job that you all will, like, as an advisory committee, is recommend policy. And when it comes to us, then I recommend what the town halls are.
And again, I talk about the aggressiveness of the animal. It's not just that. It's the animals, these cars go down Floyd, very fast, like other roads. They almost get run over.
Right.
It's just the safety of the animal as well. I'm not trying to say that.
Oh, yeah.
They're always aggressive.
Okay, all right, thanks, sir. So, do we have any candidates here tonight?
Natalie, I need to discuss this with you about my value, because the primary is in the upcoming. That I understood when I questioned you, you said that we have to have, candidates that,
Right, and so all that I stated was basically, you asked is, if you were gonna have basically like what East Region Town Hall had, you have to be able to invite both candidates, and show that you've invited or given the effort to invite them to the town hall and give them their opportunity, or you can allow them to speak in public input or whatever the case may be.
Well, we didn't actually have an opportunity to invite anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you time stuff or everything, but I looked at, this is May.
Yes.
We're
This
doing
is our
primary
last, this is our
June,
last
so-
sheet.
So would, yeah.
But we will take the candidate that we've got.
Okay.
And that's our say so. Well, I mean,
It's your prerogative.
thank you. And, is that?
Let's see. It sounds like it is working. All right. So I'm Hannah Faithley. I'm running for Lake County Assessor Recorder.
Maybe it's because I'm so close to this. Let me move over there.
Yeah, I was standing trying to do that.
No, I can try.
Well, it's not that so much, it's just, this is also the audio we're trying to get.
I think it's because I'm right behind the speaker and I'm
Yeah,
on
we'll-
Zoom.
We'll figure it out.
Try it now.
Uh,
It should work now. I think it's because I'm like right there.
All right, let's
Just gonna have to.
So I'm Hannah Faithley, I'm running for Lake County Assessor Recorder. I've been out and talking to business owners, public and general property, seeing what is it that you guys, as business owners, as property owners, see as some of the hardships that you are facing. One big one for me as a property owner, and also as a social worker, also business management bachelor's, is that back in November, your Proposition 8 tax increases went out 2 weeks before the due date without any practice. Many of those, the individual signed an agreement 11, 12 years ago. And I don't know about you, but I don't remember what I did 12 years ago. So it was a surprise increase in their property taxes 2 weeks before the due date. I don't contest that that needed to be done. That was Proposition 8. It had to be enforced. What I am saying is that as a taxpayer and a property owner, if I was in that position myself, I would have appreciated some forewarning so I could have worked my budget so I could have paid that. Instead of getting it 2 weeks before the due date and telling the kids, we don't get Christmas gifts. Christmas gift is, we get to keep the house. So that is part of the reason I'm running. I look forward to your guys' input. I'm excited to bring some positive change. And if I am elected, my door will always be open, and I will welcome input.
Right. The next item is something to do with the
Workshop?
Yes, we're going to talk about dates. And who's been heading this up? Wasn't me.
Well, I'll just let you know, I sent the letter to McGuire.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you
yes.
sent
The
our
one,
letter?
yeah, because I had a copy of your final, because you came to the meeting and gave me that letter, so I just basically sent that letter to him, waiting for a response. When I get one, I will.
But when we get dates for the,
The workshop, did we get a because I got an invite for June. Let me see here.
Well.
June 13th is what I have as a potential date for a workshop.
Well, first of all, so there's some outstanding issues to make that workshop happen. The first one is to be recorded the minutes when I asked Marina and Mr. DeLeon who the contact people were at Fish and Wildlife and Corps of Engineers, and she responded
who are those people? I need to contact them because I've gone ahead and put out invitations, but nobody knows who's dealing with them. Fish and Wildlife, the Water Board, and Army Corps of Engineers have no idea who oversees the Upper Lake Levee System or the North Federation. So they've been very kind in trying to find that out. But we're in week 4, and I'm still trying, so are they, trying to figure it out. But I did bring some stuff with me today, based on all of that. We also, as I announced last meeting, got data from Marina, historical data of the levee system. We don't have all of it, which is okay, and it's a lot of it, and I haven't gone through all of it yet to know what we're actually missing, but I already know we're missing some items. Which is fine, but we've got to get it all so we are well educated with what we're doing. The Water Board actually suggested that the town council and any citizens of Upper Lake file a complaint with the EPA. So I brought a sample complaint for you guys as a group, and there's a couple extra ones here. But the reason that they did that, if anyone wants the reason that they did that is because they can't figure out who's in charge of this levee system. Part of the information that we got from Marina is the Army Corps of Engineers inspection list since 2013, or excuse me, from 2007 to 2013, no inspection. They're every 5 years. There's one here for the town hall, and there's a couple of extra copies if anybody wants one. I thought I had sent the goat raising bid to her at Scott.
You did.
Originally.
I think they had it.
Okay, because I couldn't find it in the email, so I sent it again. But Tony's here, and you know, he's hoping that we can move forward with that. He's got people in Napa that want him to work, that'll pay more money. And, you know, I'm not getting any response from Scott or me about that. And then I also found out that what was originally formed as the Lake County, well, do we know what they're going to look at it or review it, or because the grass is about 3 to 4 feet tall. It's grown in the last few days.
I can follow.
If you could, and Tony would appreciate it too, standing like that. Tony, don't start, trying to schedule his fire season. This is his home, and he wants to take care of it, but he also needs to pay for his people. So, it would be nice to find out what's happening. So I did send all of the agencies referred me back to the Lake County Flood and District, which has turned into the Watershed District, who is run by Scott DeLeon, and the Board of Directors is the Board of Supervisors. So they keep saying it's the Board of Supervisors. So I feel like I'm doing this, and I really need those names, and we need help at the Board of Supervisor level, because if you guys don't do anything, then they can do something, but they're not going to do anything. Because, Army Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, and Water Board. That's why the Water Board said file a complaint.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't there at the previous meeting, and I have a really hard time understanding what needs to be done with the levee. What is the problem? Can you give me a one-sentence synopsis?
Basically, we want to return the levees to their original constructed condition. We want to clear them out and remove the debris. That's basically it.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, there was never originally a levee here before that, so I mean, when they first were built, if that makes sense,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
You said,
Originally constructed?
no, you said to their original.
The levees have always been here.
They haven't.
No, they haven't.
Well, the bottom line is the levees were maintained for there was gravel excavation and vegetation removal. For the last decades, I'm not sure how many decades, but a lot of them, no one's done gravel excavation or vegetation management, which is affecting the stability of the levee, as well as it no longer holds the amount of water it used to, which means it's an eminent flood. It's eminent, it's gonna happen. Okay. And because they don't maintain it, that vegetation creates vegetation dams in the canal, and the water goes around those dams. And when it does that, it undermines the channel banks, and the channel banks are actually collapsing, which also impedes the stability of the levee. And we are having a workshop. We had a meeting last time. We're trying to get a date. My personal opinion and my recommendation to everyone is we have a workshop with the state agencies and also with water resources, and with our representatives of the state, because this is a bigger issue than Lake County can handle. Obviously, that's why our levees are in this situation. And unless we have who's in control of this, we can't invite them. And did we record their names?
We did. That's why I asked him if he had the video, because he said I didn't give you the video. I know that I gave all the videos to this little off topic, but Sam is going to put all the videos of the town halls on YouTube so that you guys can all have a chance to, once those are up, we'll get that out. But I do have a video of what they talk about, so it should be here.
Okay, and then what about the minutes? Because I specifically say that someone.
She's not here today.
Okay.
Whoever your minute taker is,
So
she
can
was
we
sitting.
ask her, Tim, if we have those names? We need them.
Yeah, I can.
He might be here late. She texted me, and he might be here.
We need those names. I mean, we can't move forward without them, honestly.
So explain to me, Julia, exactly. You need the names of the contact people.
Yeah, for Fish and Wildlife and the Army Corps of Engineers.
Fish and Wildlife.
Because I'm doing this with them, and they're telling us to file the complaints about the board of supervisors because they're in charge of watershed district. But my point is, well, our levees aren't being maintained. We need help. The people that are supposed to be doing it aren't doing it, or don't have manpower, or who knows really what's going on. I think it's a combination of things.
All right, so.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Several years ago, a fishing game there up Scott Creek because the kids weren't going out. And that seemed to be the breaking point. It wasn't having to do with people on the creek. But of course, basically, if you open up that area and the water goes through and the trees grow up, there's habitat. What happens to us on Scott Creek is that increase the flood, or does it make it more water in summer or less water in the summer? This will directly affect us. We should be notified personally, as with everyone on Scott Creek.
Completely agree. That's why we're having the workshop for those kinds of things. In the workshop, how I envision it, and we haven't talked to the group about it yet, is we have tables. This is how I've always been workshop. We have tables, and we have a table for water resources at the county level. We have a table for water resources at the state level. We have an Army Corps of Engineers table. We have a Fish and Wildlife table. And people, every 15 minutes, moves a table, a bell is rung, and you're brainstorming, you're talking about what you need to be notified about, your concerns, what's the solution.
Well, he wants to be notified on a whole different Yeah, Scotts Valley doesn't have, no pertains to our creek. Scotts Creek is different from Middle Creek. Yeah.
Do you guys know about your map in Scotts Valley? They've been doing a lot of work on their levees, and they're privately owned.
But I didn't need to find out because I had no idea where to look. I'm not you. Every time I ask somebody, I'm sending somebody else.
Yes.
And I'm really
It's frustrating.
frustrated.
Yeah. So you have a map. Your supervisor just retired. Is she in her position anymore?
She's still there.
So you need to contact Tina Scott. She runs.
Their meeting is next Monday.
Oh, there's a meeting.
Scotts Creek,
Yeah.
Scotts Valley.
Yeah, because they've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, there's a meeting,
Day and the time and all that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
and it's on Zoom, so you don't even have to go.
Oh, perfect. I like to go. I like to.
Yeah, they're not doing that yet, but we were there, Tim and I, they're about Tim's meeting, and they're on it.
Well, I'm really glad I came here.
Well,
Yeah,
they were certainly talking about it a lot, you know. If you wouldn't look at it, maybe ask the lady down here, if she would come out and look at the Clover Valley, she would be amazed. As she told me, there's maintenance going on Clover Creek. She didn't even have the slightest idea of what was saying. I'm sorry. You and I have been running around that the levee maintained is perfect. Sorry, very sorry. You have to go out there and check that out.
I never said anything was perfect.
You told me over the phone that they're maintenance every day.
Me?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
No, you're the only one that has that kind of, accent. Thank you.
No, I was told that I'm person with my.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's my name?
It's very difficult to pronounce, but yes, I know it's.
I'm sorry, sir, I never talked to you again.
Okay.
Can I clarify, probably?
Please, yeah.
With Department of Water Resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, there was a few more.
Yeah, okay,
yeah, Julia.
Okay, so I'm interested in, what this workshop, what is the focus? We know obviously.
Solutions on how we're gonna get this thing done sooner rather than later.
So last month, when everything went, up in smoke, by the time we got to the end of the meeting, Marina.
They seem to be on the same page.
And Scott DeLeon, I said, you saw our letter, this is what we think is what we should do, and do you agree with it? They said, yes, we agree. They are with us to accomplish what we set forth in our manifesto.
So I think what she's saying too is, Tim, you guys need to lock down that date for the workshop.
Yes.
That way we can get the solutions that she's talking about in the path forward, so that way we're not stuck. We need to have those names that you're talking about for the Army Corps and Fish and Wildlife. And what date, she gave 2 dates, prospective dates, she gave the 10th of June and the 13th.
13th, I can do.
Okay, but, who knows if anybody else can, and it's less than a month away. So, we're gonna have to look at another month, I think. We've got to get more people here and more resources. And if we don't have the time, I spent 4 weeks going like hamster everywhere.
You're right.
And everybody tells me contact the board of supervisors, they're in charge of flood control district. So,
I think we're oversight, so if something's brought to us, just like anything else. But I go to Water Resources. That's who I've been talking to. Get in touch with you about funding and whatnot. That was what the workshop was going to be about as well, talking about different ways to move forward. So I don't know, I can find out on another end, I guess, but I'll be doing the same thing here.
yeah, well, that much time I have, no one else. But my point is, I called them up to the Water Resources on the number, on the website that says watershed district. They answered, and I said, who's in charge of the watershed district? The board of supervisors. That's what your staff told me on. So, EJ,
But I mean, you're still talking about the levies and a path forward.
yeah.
And that workshop is what they said they were in agreement with all of you, and you all seemed very happy with their response after that meeting. And now we're here saying, well, you're in charge, so I don't know what, you want me to bring something to the board and just have a discussion?
I was letting you know what I need told.
And that happens all the time, by the way. So like, someone will come from code enforcement and be like, talk to your supervisor. And I'm like, okay. And so then when people come to me,
They didn't tell me to talk to the supervisor. They said the board of supervisors, the board of directors, watershed district, which was news to me, but I think that, so.
no.
So the workshop needs to have a time. We can't just have water resources there.
But it seems to me we're still trying to figure out who has absolute responsibility over it.
What's the board of supervisors? But what we need to know is what water resources, and she's talking about Army Corps and Fish and Wildlife need to be invited as well to come here, so in the water board. So you're saying, if you're talking about the water board now, you want all the board of supervisors to be
No, I'm not saying that.
You said the water board.
No, that's the watershed district that did the board of supervisors.
You were talking about the water board from the state.
Yeah, and they told us to file a complaint, yeah. Which, like,
File the complaint as well. I mean,
I'm not filing a complaint. Anybody can file, but I'm not filing. What do you think about it?
Well, this workshop, I thought it was to get money.
Well, we have to have the state here.
Or get resources, get resources.
Our president to get money, because, you know,
But do we need the people who have the money to be here?
no, we need the people that can help us get the money there, whether they have the money or not.
And you're saying that's the water resources?
Fish and Wildlife, who have a ton of money. I think CAL FIRE should come also. Because they've got billions for fire prevention. That high grass is fuel load. We need fuel load reduction, which is why we've got to pay both bid. I mean, water resources, are they gonna write the grant? Who's gonna write the grant? You know?
That's actually one of the county's, one of the more standing issues as well, because what grant do we write for? And if we don't get the grant, we just spend all that time on the grant. So we have to make sure, like the workshop you're talking about, we have the right people there so we can get everything needed. That way we can ensure all the energy goes into the specific grant you're talking about to get that money and success for.
Right, and there is a grant available according to NCR, the one, the acronym,
NCO?
yes. No, the federally funded environmental group that does, she's got one available right now, and I gave her name to Scott and Marina. I'm not getting any feedback. I did it with regards to the oil spill on the levee, like LR's, the videos that ended up being the Sacramento suburbs instead of
Box.
Box, yeah. That's the only thing I could respond to that. So, you know, I'm not getting a lot of cooperation. I'm putting in a lot of energy, and it's not being, you know, it's landing on dead.
Yep. Okay. The only thing I can tell you is I can address it with them. But the other thing I can tell you is they are a staff of, you know, a specific amount of people that can only tend to so much.
Right.
And I know they just brought forward a couple of items to the board to pass that had nothing to do with what you're talking about as well.
And they're doing the spring for the play, spring, and I get what they're doing, but we're gonna have to pick other dates because
So we need a list of people that we need to provide. That's what we.
And a specific date is the date.
Yeah.
that she understands.
And maybe. No.
Well, we'll find out, as long as I get those names. As long as I get those names I've been asking you guys for the last month, is the moment I can make a phone call and get out. So, and then I've already got the women funding for the NR, what's it called? I don't know. That they get grants. And CAL FIRE, my friend's chief of CAL FIRE, I'm not worried about getting here. I'm worried about the fact that I don't know who, and nobody's thinking those names. And once we have those names, then we can start a new date out. So I'm going to tell Marina again, say, we're going to need dates in July. WRTH. And then, and in the meantime, I downloaded data from those emails and the finish date. I requested her to present me on the attachment for nothing. And I mentioned it.
Julia, would Marina know who the liaison for Fish and Wildlife and Army Corps of Engineers?
Yeah, she told us who it was.
Oh, okay, so we should make that maybe another email or call her.
That was fine. Why do we go to that? We got information.
And watch it first.
Just watch it right after we're finished.
Yeah.
Let's just watch it.
Yeah.
I have it on here. Pull it up and we'll look at it. We can give her the names.
So we are
really
moving
have
forward once we have the information for it. Unfortunately, the weather is required. I hope because I'm going to follow up with my staff member and Water's office to say, hey, we need your help. So we have to have everything in place. Yeah.
What about Assembly Member
Would.
IDR?
Oh, I don't know that.
She should be somewhere else.
Yeah,
She's the blue ribbon.
she's given us funding through Blue Ribbon, which is where we work on trying to get other
They're doing
funding
that
as
at
well.
Scottsdale.
Yeah, they did.
They're gonna get some.
They did. That's what they said. They got funding for their repairs for their levy on work.
In the projects that passed for the other areas, like for ours, I think they did dilapidated docks and tule replanting. And they're trying to do like an oxygenation thing, and of course, the other one that was promoted was the Clover Creek diversion channel, but that's going to be put right back on. It doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about, but it's part of it. So that's something that we're waiting on as well.
What I have a question. Can this board utilize both mail systems?
What do you mean?
Well, I think we need, in my professional and personal, your health and safety at stake. This is going to flood. There's no doubt about it. Everybody knows it, but no one that lives here is doing much about it. Not that they are ignoring us, but they don't see it as a priority like me and my neighbors. And so if we can get more people rallying, I think that if we have, a petition like I was talking to you about the other stuff, that says, you need to deal with this now. This is not anything that, this is life-threatening, because it is. And everybody in this community knows it. So I'm asking, is there a bulk mail?
I'm pretty sure we can figure it out.
Great, good to know. Because I already talked to you, that's not bad. I wasn't sure. So when this workshop happens, we can both mail it out and then keep them, the stakeholders that are here, agencies that govern all of this, can hear from the people that live here exactly how scared we all are. And there is an interesting component called this watershed district, and that is you guys are in charge of flood insurance. I can't get flood insurance because, never mind the value of our homes and our properties. So I want to know, can we get flood insurance through this flood insurance thing you guys are in charge of under the watershed district?
I had no time to understand the question, so I have to look at that.
If you look on the website, here, I got it right here. And you see. It's not. What the purpose is. So. And this was here. It's here somewhere. So. Watershed protected, here they're going to Britain. Watershed.
So I don't, again,
So if you could find out about that.
I think this is what you're talking about here in town. Are you talking about Middle Creek or Clover Creek?
Middle Creek, well, talking about the letters.
Right over here. We're all going to flood. If this thing out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was under 5 feet of water in 08.
But it's
As well as Mendenhall. Everybody was underwater. I don't want to know that. Was it 12 or 12? I don't know. I don't really know. But I know I don't want to have that.
Took those last week, correct? Yeah.
Do you know what's in your note?
I'm saying what it says, what you're saying. Well, I could just be not reading well, because I'm just a secret.
Yeah. I did send you an email, but maybe.
Yes, sir.
I have another comment regarding Clover Creek here in Upper Lake.
Yes.
It needs to be cleared also.
Yes.
It's totally overgrown with
That's part of what we're talking about.
very good. And I just talked to Sarah Ryan of the Big Valley Tribe, the environmental is very strong.
Yeah.
She told me that the Garden City Tribe has a grant or has a program that they are working on to clear Clover Creek. So she gave me
Corolla from Robinson's, whatever.
really good. So
Yeah,
I
and
hope
they'll be
that,
at the workshop, the tribe will be at the workshop.
yes, very good. So anyway, that's a big concern also, not only can the hitch not get through, but when that Himalayan and blackberry gets there, any tree branches, anything floating in the creek, it's stuck in the creek, you know, what's wrong.
That's the vegetation dam I'm talking about. And this is the first year that they couldn't get up this way. It did, which did not come this way. They did last year, not this year.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Aaron and another 3 feet, 600 feet wide, 25.
Did you want to?
No, we'll have to research that.
Yeah, so once you finish, I'll pull this up.
And we really need to be taking minutes and approving them. We are.
Yeah, I'm taking notes tonight, so I'll have that brought up and printed out on a regular basis.
Okay, so, what's next?
So this should be on the next agenda for next month.
What's that?
This should be on the next agenda for next month.
This subject to you? Of course, but, all right, so don't leave without talking.
I know.
Do you have any other, let's go. If we stop early, we can make up what we do.
Anyone out there?
Jonathan said thank you. He's got to do finals tonight. He's off for about a month, and he'll try to make the next one. And the reason I invited Jonathan was because they're the Nice Neighborhood Watch, and I think Thomas and Tim have both come to those meetings. They're struggling. I've probably seen the post in the information about Merced Street being finally dealt with. It's one of many that probably need to be dealt with, especially on Hudson. They have a lot of traffic. They've been having traffic. We've been meeting about it, and so Jonathan, I invited Jonathan to come to this. I've been inviting everybody on that North Shore Neighborhood Watch to come to this as well, because they, as concerned as we are about the levies, they are very concerned about that as well. And, yeah. And so it's a very, the situation is really bad there. The people that live in the area have cameras up, and they see people go into their yard and take things and do all sorts of other things. So we worked one year to get the sheriff to come and they were patrolling, but then it stopped, of course. And so just trying to get some involvement here as well, so they can have a voice, because they wanted to have meetings in Nice, though. That was the thing that we talked about possibly.
Yeah, if we could have meetings, like we have a meeting in Blue Lakes every once in a while, a meeting in Nice once in a while. I mean, we've been meeting here for 5 years, basically. And a lot of people in Nice say, oh, we need to go to Lucerne.
Oh, no, Lucerne has their own.
Well, I know, I mean, people in Nice were saying,
they want to go
the town hall, like I posted on there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
About, no, it's not Lucerne, it's what's the reason. And then people just don't. I mean, that posters for years.
There is a delineation.
Well, it's Nice, from Nice to Blue Lakes.
Collier and so forth, Nice, Upper Lakes.
Yeah.
I'd just like to speak out about the Merced issue. I don't know if everybody saw that bus. Congratulations to the sheriff's department and whatever task force came through. I live down the street from that house. I didn't know that person. I viewed the person on Lake Sheriff. We didn't recognize him. Me and my wife, and we keep out. We have issues going on, including the loose dog issues. And we feel the guy that owned the loose dog issues was dealing with. I know he was dealing with some stuff. I get information, but that wasn't him that got busted. Thank God, we had a lot of times. Week before that, just to give you some information. I don't know if there's any connection, but my mother-in-law lives next door to us on Floyd, and she, about 11:30, probably a week ago, there was a woman on her porch in her bra and panties. And she was freaking out. She's almost 80 years old. And we called the sheriff's department. They came out really quick. And they took her in. She was about 19 years old. So I don't know if it's a sex trafficking issue or what was going on. But I didn't talk to the officers. It was late at night, and they were ready to, they took her in. So we have no idea if there's any connection, but it seems very coincidental. But anyway, thank God they started taking these people out, because the drug running around are commercial, especially Nice and probably Lucerne.
The biggest problem we have is you're not having enough streetlights on the streets.
And I looked into getting a street light through
It's real
PG&E.
easy. In fact, you talking a person that was talking about the garbage and stuff, they can help you get streetlights in.
Well, I was going to apply with PG&E. You can actually get a street light in front of you if you pay
For
for it.
free. You can get it for free.
Oh, so who do I talk to about
You
that?
call PG&E and you tell them that you want a streetlight in front of your house. You give them the address. They come up and put the streetlight in your house, and you pay $12 a month to have that light on.
I've already made that application, but I haven't finished it. So I don't
You call them on the phone.
That's what happened with these guys too. We helped them get to a point, and they didn't finish what they were doing.
I used to do all the neighborhood watches for Lake County. Special districts came over to where I live and put in free streetlights for us, because it was in their budget. And so you go to special, now I figure it out, but PG&E won't put a light up in the street.
Yeah,
You guys put lights up in Nice, and you got people to put lights up there, more lights are on their house. Your traffic that you're having up there will go away. Because you guys have the perfect opportunity to steal and rob you guys and have drugs like you're doing here, because it's dark and people like it.
And like, they're like I said before, cockroaches.
I just wanted to bring up two parts of preparedness. Last month, Mike was here, and I think this wind is drying out everything. We really need to be aware and try to get that sensible things. And one of the issues that I always kind of run into are the seniors that don't have anything clear their property. And I just want to share something. Dave Eby had talked about in some years past, he would go to the schools and looked at the possibility of seniors who were accumulating community service hours, looking at that maybe as an option. I said, well, they're out of school as of next, the 27th, and that may be something for we as a town hall to present to the FFA Ag Science teacher. See if that might be something.
But does that entail anything like insurance or anything like that?
No, that's the good.
I requested that the FFA council come and make reports like the FFA is going to do. Katie's the president, and she asked me to make an announcement for her because she was out sick and they're down staff, and she's got to close on nights that these are there, that when she has her staff trained, she'll start coming and making these announcements. The FFA council is doing Harvest Fest on October 11th, the same day as the homecoming, and we'll be having a parade in conjunction with the high school. So it's the community council, the high school, and homecoming all coming together, downtown, and the residents and the school. So mark your calendars for October 11th for a Harvest Festival in Upper Lake. And just so you guys know that the community council has revived itself, and we have a new board of directors, and Angela from the post office, Katie from the store, Annalise from the bakery, and then the carpet, Debbie, and some more people are on it. A lot of young people on it now. They're really kind of moving things along. So those young people, they've got a lot of energy.
That one lady, which one was doing it?
That was like
Deborah was her name. She's like, I don't want to be.
yeah. And thank you, EJ, for coming to that one meeting last month. October 11th. Oh, maybe it's around the homecoming.
Saturday.
I said they don't have a massive calendar, but I actually,
Whatever the homecoming day.
Tim, I have a question.
Olga?
I just have been trying to follow the agenda. It's often discussion about. There was discussion about drugs and issues like that. Just turn it off.
Yeah.
Last time, and obviously it's a go-getter and it's all on that. But what I want to say is there is it's a pilot, but it's a roadmap task force. And don't recall that we actually did here. Now it's a pilot starting in the Oaks, in Spring Valley. I know we all think you have road problems under the Oaks, go to Spring Valley. But what I want to say is it's a pilot. So they put the money together to do it. They're coming in and they're coming together as a group. So you've got code enforcement one, you have the patient entities that are here in Lake County
and they're attacking, they're going after, illegal roads, lights. Very comprehensive. So it's a pilot, and they only have money for that. What I think you might consider doing is inviting them to come and let you know what they're doing. And then, I would say, some sort of collective effort to fund this roadmap task. I do know that they're rolling actions that are occurring in Clear Lake. City of Clear Lake is doing a good job. They've had fun. They come to it all coming together to really attack this issue. I mean, everything from the illegal roads, all the new issues.
Tax control product.
Yes.
Well, it's right now, I was added to it after the fact. It was initiated by Supervisor Sabatier and Supervisor Pyska. And then I was also on the committee for the funded by cannabis funds. And so what they're looking at is entry and exit points into Lake County, and because Clear Lake Oaks is an entry point, they chose that area to focus on initially. And so once that, and if that, poses the results that we think it's going to get, they'll move on to other areas. And so $1 million basically from the cannabis funding was put into that fund. And then after they voted on it, then they added me because it's in our district. Now, I mean, they could come here. I don't, we could invite them.
I just thought of presentation because I just haven't seen anything quite like this done. And we pilot. My opinion, we don't want to really dump on them and bring it here, but I think there may be a constructive way for this town to support those companies. So all I can tell you is my neighborhood, quite a few illegal roads. So
the other good thing about it is that because it's in Clear Lake Oaks and they don't really have a station on a line of sight, they're using the discern station that they put together before. So they, of course, the town hall wants them right in town. However, the sheriff's office cannot do it because they need a line of sight to, I forgot what it was, but it has to do with the radio station. So they're still closer by to the North Shore.
And that's a 2-year program, I understand?
Right.
So, well, anyway, just.
John was part as well.
He started. Like I said, they need like that, not that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there. You need a line of the sight to Canocti for that radio signal.
Why does it take them, why is it 2-year timeline? Why wouldn't it be shorter to understand? Recognize the outcome or success of the program.
Yeah. You're right on target.
Always resources.
Is it funding or?
It's funding. What they're hoping for, and because of the cannabis situation right now, they're not like, because the prices went down on cannabis taxes and all that, and because they pushed that tax collection for the cannabis out until, I want to say, November or something like that. They're not collecting as much, but because we've already collected on specifics, we can fund it the way it is for that 2 years it's approved. And so hopefully, and once things get ironed out.
Well, it sounds like it's doing really well. We just said the outcome so far. Of course, we're anxious to get that.
Best thing.
So you've been, we're anxious to see that concern.
Right.
Ace, that Upper Lake, the whole North Shore. So hopefully, additional.
Supported, I'm saying supported.
Yeah.
On the side.
Oh, absolutely.
And another thing too, just to add on another item is, I don't know if you've seen or tuned in, last week there was a roads presentation by Public Works. District 3 will be first year, 2023, to be targeted. So Upper Lake, East, Lucerne, Clear Lake Oaks, the roads will be addressed. And there's also it hasn't been passed as a draft. However, no one's really contested where or what yet. So once that gets brought to the board for approval, the goal is that, for me, I know for sure, the goal is for the roads in our district.
So in that, go ahead.
I noticed that when you think about the roads on your, about making to serve folks, what about Blue Lake?
Yes.
What about that stone there? Nobody ever think about it.
Is representing Blue Lakes. He's not here to speak with that.
You know, David,
I don't know what.
You know what?
The only person I included in my name tonight is because she didn't put on Facebook that you guys are meeting. And I'm here because I'm curious, because I think that I'm for what has gone there, and we didn't know.
Let's see, because then maybe
you live in Blue Lakes.
I'm not, as you said, that we do.
let's just pull it up so that way you guys can see.
This is your council.
Thank you.
And I'll get your email address, and I'll send you.
Let's say it was,
I'll send you your side this morning.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
So I have a lot to access because I've been living here since 2006 and.
That's fine, that's fine.
2022.
We can all use it.
And I'm not whoever that guy.
Yeah. Dennis.
I just want to tell her that Father Sheehan is a bicycle rider and we talked about fireplace.
Thank you.
Please, that.
Julia.
EJ,
yes,
I was hoping to get which streets in Upper Lake were planned for this.
that's what I'm pulling up right now.
Oh, great, because that, where I took you on that turn.
Yeah.
The box, that was like over there.
That was also my justification for the Clover Creek situation, the Supervisor Steele and Paul initiated with me to try to bring to the blue ribbon, is because of, that was one of the statements, was that when we flood, it ruins the roads, it ruins people's homes, things like that. So that's why we also wanted to, right, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the markers on that side of the river gone, those circles, and they go 45 miles an hour. Minimum.
Yeah.
I have one update for everybody regarding fire nature in Upper Lake.
Yes.
After hearing the last two reports, this is way to speak. Yesterday, also the county and corridors that are right. Today I saw a forest ranger from the other. I asked him, I'm wondering about downtown Upper Lake and nearby. Are you aware, is there any big danger here that we should be alerted to? And he said, the local downtown area, there is no danger yet. He said that those beetles have not gotten out of the national forest to here yet. And if they stay there, then there's no future danger if they stay there. And he did say, so there's basically in town, we don't have anything to worry, and we don't need to worry about our shoes stopping. But he did say he's warning everybody, if you go to the natural forest trails, they're all lined with dead trees, so it's very dangerous to go out there. So that's what he told me just today, and I think it's like.
I've seen all those pictures.
So you can see the map right there.
Yeah.
So you have, looks like some Winter Springs. I don't see Blue Lakes. Yeah, I don't see it on here.
I don't.
That is, like Winter Springs, Bachelor Valley area.
But this people here.
That's Blue Lakes, so you don't see any over there. That's what she's saying. That's it.
So is it the red ones or the green ones?
So that's just the difference in what they're proposing to do. So the green one is single chip seal, red is reconstruct surface, orange is FDR with double chip seal, and then purple, which isn't on there, is double chip seal.
So it looks like that's Main Street there, is that right?
Yeah, I'm on Zoom, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want
Is reconstruct service meaning surface yet or?
Who else?
New asphalt?
to, there's 20, they don't have the street name. But it looks like,
Yes. Oh, thank you. That was, I didn't want to miss that. I don't want to miss this. There we go. And so,
that's Elk Mountain. Yeah, it looks like that turn there, and that is Fort.
That's pretty much, that's on the lake. Yeah.
That's good.
So that's supposed to be.
and this is Old Lucerne Road.
Yeah.
Great, good.
Yeah, so this is to get into this, like, yep, first, and then out here to Middle Creek.
Is that Pitney? Is that Pitney?
This is Pitney, yeah. So this is all supposed to be done in 2023.
Great.
It's the first of the 5-year plan. The first is that area, second is over towards Clear Lake, I think, and whatnot. So that's the draft plan as of now. No one seems to be upset about it, you know, and so.
You have a picture of these as well?
Yeah, I do, actually.
It's on Facebook.
Yeah, see, the 23 is that year, so for next year. And here's Nice. As you can see, a lot of it is going to be the red, and that red is the reconstruction service. So it's not, remember last time we talked about chip seal and you said no. Well, the areas, a lot in Nice, as you can tell, are a lot of maroon.
So red is the resurfacing, right?
There's some, Floyd is like right here, gonna be red.
We'll have to put some speed bumps in there too.
The ones that are green, you'll know, what I've noticed in looking at them, the green ones are more like the less traveled roads, you know, like so that's just like the chip seal, the less traveled roads, but the ones that like yours, Lakeview, those are all going to
I'm
be.
surprised they didn't do Lakeshore.
So speaking about the road, they did that big, enactment on Highway 20 there. After Saratoga Springs, they did that on.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
is slowing down already, but that's another comment. While they were stopping.
highway?
Yeah, on 20. While they were stopping the traffic there for hours, people throw garbage and it's all over the place. Who do I contact for that? I contact Caltrans, they not us.
That's me.
It's you? I got you.
I'm not even gonna try to say anyone else, I can say it's me, so.
Good, I got you.
Because I can say somebody, they're just gonna tell you me anyhow. He's been dealing with this, so, yeah.
No, but now that I know that I'm in the right meeting,
Because, well, I'm also on Caltrans's South Field Committee, so I'll let them know again, like, hey, you're telling people to come to meet yet, it's on your highway. But I'll find out. you know,
so
what they
I am at the entry of Valley View, and you put a big post there, and the truck was turning there, and they made a big dip into our entry, but they don't re-asphalt that.
Okay,
Just, you have my number now.
I do now.
I will try.
It's really nice to have.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Oh, you don't.
All in favor? Yeah, okay. Aye. Motion, please adjourn. Thank you all for coming.
See.
Thank you.